You know, back when I was a teenager, I used to just eat a shit ton of processed food, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All three were probably from some fast food restaurant. And as a repercussion of that, I used to feel very, very cognitively fatigued. Like I could not sit still or I could not work for more than 20 minutes at a time. Like my concentration levels were absolute garbage. And this affected my grades. I was like barely passing exams, failed physics, chemistry, maths back in high school, and I was just this forgetful person, irresponsible, and no one really thought that I would amount to much. However, at one point of time in my life, I actually decided to quit all fast food because I felt that it was making me depressed and it was making me unmotivated, and that was the key reason why I actually quit fast food. But something surprising happened. As soon as I quit all sort of processed food, I actually became really cognitively sharp. Like 70% of my brain fog or confusion or what I call a zombie mode, it kind of disappeared, and I was able to focus for longer periods of time. Like I instantly went from 20 minutes to something like 3 hours. And that felt amazing. Like 3 hours of focus allowed me to do things that I previously never had done. My grades improved, my social skills improved. I was now able to read books and not just get lost. I only had to read sentences once and I would comprehend them. So life is pretty good. Life is pretty good as soon as I gave up all processed food. And what do I mean by processed food? Things with multiple ingredients, things that you find in packets, things that are not produced by the earth. But then I decided to take things even further. I decided to actually do a fast, like 23-hour long fast. So I was literally eating one meal a day for like 30 days. And I realized that while I was fasting, I felt absolutely amazing. Even more focused. I could now study for something like 4 or 5 hours and everything felt amazing. It was like I was in a video game. My motivation levels were through the roof. I didn't feel that there was a challenge that I could not overcome. And this feeling was almost magical. If you've seen this movie called Limitless, where he just pops a pill and his IQ boosts and everything starts making sense and he's able to write a novel overnight, that is the closest thing to that pill, fasting. That is what I felt when there was like absolutely no food in my belly. I was able to perform exceptionally. But the one drawback of that was I had no energy to do physical things. Like my gym performance suffered, my athletic ability suffered, and I was dropping weight. So this was like a big trade-off. It was a trade-off for cognitive ability versus athletic ability. And it's unsustainable in the long run, to be honest. I was having some nutritional deficiency after a period of time. I had to take some vitamins and it became kind of a mess. So this is when my pursuit for finding the optimal diet actually started. I figured that if I can feel the way I felt while I was fasting cognitively, and yet have the energy to perform my workouts, then I have perhaps figured out the most optimal diet for both mind and body. Of course, the priority being the mind, because my priorities are literally business and YouTube, and I need to be cognitively sharp for that. And my second priority is just working out for fun or doing martial arts for fun. In my recent experiments, what I've realized is that if I do not intake any carbs in my diet, then I can mimic 90 to 95% of the benefits of fasting in terms of cognitive performance. So like these days, all I'm having is meat, chicken, beef, fish. Yeah, that's about it really. And I feel really good cognitively and I feel super motivated. No signs of depression or no lack of willpower, none of those symptoms which you have from typical diets. I strongly believe that this is the diet that you should be following if you're a knowledge worker or if you make money based on your cognitive ability or if you have plans to grow in your career or scale up a business. This will give you the most focus and the most cognitive power to actually perform really complicated tasks. Now I know I'm just some guy on the internet. Why should he even believe me? And the doctors disagree with me, and your grandma is telling you to have a balanced diet, your mother is telling you to have a balanced diet, your father is telling you to have a balanced diet, he's telling you to eat potatoes, he's telling you to have rice, he's telling you that it's all natural whole food. Yeah, I get it. I didn't write the rules. I'm just someone who experiments, and these are my findings. I really found that cutting off all carbs from my life really gave me a cognitive boost that no other form of diet has, other than fasting of course, but that is unsustainable. So you know what, give this a shot. Go on a fast for 20 hours for at least 3 days. So basically fast for 20 hours and eat in a 4-hour window for just 3 days, for 3 to 4 days, and just see if you have an escalation in your cognitive ability. If you start feeling really cognitively sharp, way better than you previously felt before, that means there's something in your diet which is hampering your cognitive ability. And now your goal should be to feel this way, or at least close to this way, close to the way that you feel in a fasted state, even when you are consuming food. That should be your goal. That is a good litmus test to evaluate the performance of your diet. And ever since I went into this full carnivore diet where I'm only eating meat, eggs, fish, I have begun to feel exceptional cognitively. Like I'm sharp, I'm witty, thoughts just come to me, key ideas just pop in my head. I can study for 4 hours straight, no problem. I don't feel mental fatigue, I don't feel the brain fog. It is amazing. For the last 23 years of my life, I've been feeding myself garbage and I've been acting like a zombie. However, in the last 1 or 2 years, ever since I went full carnivore, my world has flipped upside down. And this is what a lot of these really successful entrepreneurs are doing. Like, this is what Hamza is doing. This is what Jordan Peterson is doing. This is what Joe Rogan is doing. There's a reason why people are switching to the carnivore diet, because it gives you exceptional cognitive ability. I know it doesn't make sense, I know, right? It doesn't make sense. You hear about the importance of veggies and fruits and etc, this superfood, that superfood. But turns out that the only real thing which gave me noticeable cognitive performance is the absence of these things. It's the absence of all of these things. And I think the evolutionary reason is that farming only came 10,000 years ago. So our bodies, our brains, or our digestive system is more primed for consuming meat. And that is what our ancestors were doing. So again, this is just some bro science from some guy on the internet. You don't have to take my word for it, but all I ask is that you give it a shot, experiment, make a journal, write down your notes about what you eat and how it makes you feel. So imagine now that your ability to work goes from 1 hour to 4 hours and to even 5 hours in some cases. You are going to be able to do 3 to 4 times the amount of work that a regular guy is doing. That is going to make you exceptional. That is going to make you progress at a rate that is unprecedented. So imagine you focus for 5 hours competing against some guy who had carbs for lunch and is experiencing carb crash, and he's feeling sleepy and fatigued by lunch. By 12 p.m. he is done. His brain is fried. He's experiencing brain fog. You are going to outcompete that guy because you are going to be really cognitively sharp for the entire day. Now, if you're like me and if you want some athletic ability as well, like you want to perform athletic feats, then what you can do is introduce some amount of carbs. I would say 20 to 30 grams of carbs right before you work out, right before a martial art class or right before your weightlifting class. I feel doing this is the best of both worlds. You get the cognitive benefits throughout the day as well as the athletic performance by just introducing the right amount of carbs just before a workout. And during the workout, you just consume those carbs and you don't actually feel the brain fog after it. So for me, this is the perfect setup for those who value business and entrepreneurship and cognitive ability, and their secondary goals are athletic performance and ability. This is the best of both worlds. However, if you're like a raw athlete and you really just want to optimize athletic performance 100%, then sure, go for it. Consume carbs, because that is the way to go. But the trade-off is you are going to be losing your cognitive ability to a fair degree. Now, I know people get really dogmatic about their diet. Some prefer veganism, some prefer ketogenic diet, some prefer pure carnivore with no inclusion of carbs whatsoever. I don't know, I'm not that pedantic about it. I'm not that dogmatic about it. I'm just someone who experiments, and I'll continue to experiment. Maybe a couple of months or years down the line, I change my opinion and stance in certain things, as I previously have. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you drop a like and subscribe, and yeah, until next time.